How's everyone doing today? I hope you guys aren't falling asleep now after lunch, after that pasta or being in the sun. My name is Jennifer Nesbitt, and I am with Cluedo. And today I'm really here to talk about why site search matters. Now, I'm not going to do the full sales pitch or the demo because I'm sure you've heard enough of those this week. But what I do want to kind of talk about is what Cluedo is and what our purpose is. So Cluedo is a powerful site search and insights SaaS provider. And our goal here is to really help bridge this gap between IT departments, web agencies, and marketing teams. Now, we are headquartered in Copenhagen. We started actually in 2014, slightly after Google decided to sunset their Google custom search and their Google site search. And now we currently serve over 800 clients globally with an office in the US here in Minneapolis. Now, today, we're going to really cover why site search matters, but I also want to share what you can actually learn from site search from a development standpoint, from an agency standpoint, and then what to actually look for when you are evaluating when you are evaluating a new site search. I'll also open it up to Q&A at the end of the session to answer any questions that you might have. So, why site search matters. How many of you, just by a raise of hands, just so I can know who's in the crowd here, are developers? Awesome, so the majority, which is not a surprise. How many are you with agencies or representing agencies? Great. And then how many of you are part of sales, marketing? A few? Awesome. And then how many of you just don't fit any of those buckets? I think that's everyone, right? Okay. Cool. So whenever you hear the word search, specifically site search, we're all thinking of Google, right? The majority of us do. Now, if you are in marketing or sales, what you think of is SEO. How do I get my website to the front page of Google or Bing? Now, you might also go the route of, hey, how do we get enough money, or how much money do we spend to get those clicks? If you're a developer, I don't know, it's not my problem, it's not my realm. Site search is not me, it's not my expertise. And if you're an agency dealing with a client that asks a question about site search, your heads are probably spinning like, what else are they going to ask us to change about the website? And hopefully they're not going to make us do a website redesign, right? Hopefully we don't have to go back to square one. Now, regardless of any of those preconceptions of what you might think of as site search, we can all agree as end users, when we do a search, no matter where it is, we're hoping to find something, some form of content, video, memes, GIFs, whatever it might be. So with Google here, or I guess what's the point of this fun exercise? The point is that when you run into a bad site search experience, whether it's from Google or on someone's website, it can make or break your experience. You might be unable to find the thing you're looking for, or the results just simply don't make sense. What typically happens next? Cool, crickets. Typically, I'm going to assume that you go back to square one, you search another term, or you just leave the website and go back to that main search engine. And so you're definitely not going to go to the second or third page of results, right? Because that's where they say they hide dead bodies. So that's all of us. We are here as end users of the internet to find content that's relevant to us and our needs at that time. So why does site search matter? What we have found as Cluedo and across our customer base is that people are actually engaging with the site search more than ever. And this is a likely result of the increasing value of, or volume of content that needs to be parsed through in order to find specific things, as well as the end user's immediate need to have that content now, as opposed to actually navigating through the websites, clicking on multiple pages to get the information that they want. We're also finding that search on mobile devices is also taking off in a major way, and that these mobile users are more likely to actually use the search function first rather than diving through the various pages of content. And so as site search usage continues to increase, organizations actually need to ensure that they have a well-implemented and highly relevant site search experience in place or risk alienating your online visitors. So one, people are actually using it. That's why it matters. The second piece here is that your site search visitors are your most valuable visitors. And so here's the hard facts. On average, 30% of visitors will actually perform a site search when coming to a website. Of those visitors on the website that search versus visitors who don't, people who perform a search generate more revenue than those who don't. 50% of people visiting a website will typically start with the search box. And of those visitors, 216% are more likely to convert if they use the search. And so I don't care if you're a developer, if you're in marketing, or if you're an agency, this matters because at the end of the day, the website typically is used as a method to drive sales and to drive revenue. And if the majority of your users here are using that search, or if you can at least capture what these people are looking for, you can then deliver that content, whether it's from a UX perspective, whether it's from marketing content on the site. And so why are only 10% of web teams, agencies actually dedicating time and resources to site search? Most website developers and marketings and agencies, they understand that it's important to have a site search, yet internal site search strategy has traditionally been known as a set it and forget it, right? We install the site search, we hope that it runs, and we go back to our day-to-day, whatever that might look like. What we've learned is that IT has traditionally owned the site search piece of a website, including the costs that come with it. However, today in our digital world, marketing teams and our end clients are responsible for showing that the website is generating revenue. And so the big thing here is by bridging this gap and giving autonomy to marketers to learn and control the site search, understand what people are searching for, while having support in IT, just support them and maintain from a little or a lower technical level. All members of the organization can benefit by incorporating and putting more weight on how site search affects the actual website strategy. And so speaking of website strategy, what can site search tell you about your website? Every day, we work with clients uncovering issues that are deeply rooted in the structure of the website when we try to fit them into a site search engine or package with Cluedo. And the biggest thing that we've seen are website inconsistencies. And so search relies on the ability for a crawler to index the website and grab data, right? For most of us as end users, we use images, we use color, we use headings to navigate a web page. Crawlers don't care, right? They see code, and your code needs to be clean enough for it to be able to extract and store that data to then provide relevant results. With that, we've seen the inability for crawlers such as ours to even index the website based off of issues with robots.txt and not knowing what's being disallowed, what crawlers are being denied access to your site. We're running into issues with no index, no follows. So a lot of CMSs have these rules, and then you let marketing go wild and add content to it without knowing what's going on. Then we run into issues where you're telling the crawlers, whatever platform you're using for a site search, that we can't use this in the index, and we can't add this to the engine. More than once have I seen rel canonicals take crawlers in loops, whether it's due to the lack of attention from an HTTPS URL to an HTTP, or even sometimes 404 pages. When we actually start to scope out customers and start setting up these engines, our crawler will say, no, we cannot do this because it's sending us in circles. That is also a sign that it's going to affect your SEO for other web spiders such as Google. People care about that. The other thing that we'll find is that people don't know where or what is in their XML sitemap. Some people I find don't even have XML sitemaps. Inconsistencies here, the whole point of an XML sitemap is so that crawlers understand what content is important to you. How often is it being indexed? Or how often is it being updated? When was the last time this page was modified? What priority should it take? And rarely do we find an XML sitemap that actually fits what is included across the whole domain. So with Cluedo, our crawler logs have helped webmasters and developers uncover some coding issues or inconsistencies across the website just by even trying to access and index the website itself. We might also run into server errors. So I get a lot of questions from clients, why wasn't this page indexed? And we go back and we look at the logs and the page timed out on us. And as we start to see themes here, we can actually uncover on certain days or peak times, your website crashes or has a very slow response. Now, the other thing that we don't typically think about is the fact that it can also show a lack of understanding in website content. Now, who here knows exactly how many pages are on their website or on a client's website that they work with? A few. Take or hit, or give or 5 or take 5, right? So the big thing here is during our process of scoping out these implementations and index for potential clients, we have to fit them and understand how many pages are we going to be indexing and crawling. And rarely do customers actually know the size of their websites. You can add tons of content, and with the distributed content marketing teams, multiple people are adding content constantly to the website, making it harder for webmasters, for developers to keep track of everything that's there. And so by crawling our website for search and having the crawler actually run through the site and index it by finding things based off of the linking structure, we can help uncover all of the pages, at least that are linked from those specific domains. And using wildcards, we can actually help identify subdomains that are linked from your website and pull a list of all of those domains that are related to it. This is really helpful if you happen to oversee or manage a website that has tons of, again, content contributors. We worked with Boise State, who had over 100 subdomains. Admissions.Boise State, athletics.Boise State, mathematics.Boise State. And they were going through a website consolidation project where they wanted to move everything into www. But the thing is that because they were so decentralized in their web content and their development, they had no idea what even existed. And so by pulling a wildcard search for our crawlers to go and find anything that was tied to that Boise domain, we were able to give them a list and help them consolidate all of the websites that they had, as well as remove any websites that they had no idea existed. All right, now, the other thing that site search is going to tell you is gaps in content as well as the UX UI of the site. So if you take anything away from this 40-minute talk, it's that site search analytics are invaluable to a website stakeholder. Again, whether you are that stakeholder, whether you are working directly with that stakeholder, site search is one of the few tools you can actually see what website visitors are looking for and determine whether or not they're finding it. In unoptimized page content prompts 70% of users to leave the site in search of another site to complete that task. So when looking at your analytics here, the first thing that any content or webmaster or developer should be focusing on is where things just aren't working. And that's going to be your search terms without results. If somebody searches a word on that website and our engine or any engine is not able to pull any pages, you don't even have a chance to save that visit. There are no opportunities for them to click through that unless they search again and hopefully find more results. One of our clients, Vodafone Australia, logs into this report on a daily basis to make sure that every time people are searching, they come up with some sort of result in fixing it. Now, this could be due to a misspelling that end user has done. We live in a world where people are have this sense of urgency, and spellings typically get automatically corrected. But what if they're so bad and butchered that they don't, right? There might also be a content or a grammar gap. So marketing team says, we want to call our careers section the careers. We are over the HR, we call it people experience, and this is the way that we want to brand our website. And then you learn through search analytics in this specific report that people are searching for jobs and they're not getting what they need because that engine doesn't know where to pull jobs versus career. It can't make that distinction, right? It's not a human. The other reason that this could be happening is just that there is no content relevant enough for us to pull from that engine. So the first thing that you should really focus on is your search terms without results and understanding why is that happening. Is it a development issue? Is it an issue that we need to take up with marketing or the agencies? The other type of ineffective search or bad search experience is when you search for something and you see a list of results and there's nothing there that's worth clicking on. And to be honest, I don't know what's worse, having results show up that aren't relevant or having no results at all. And the big thing here as well is that this will show the same type of issues with misspellings, content, grammar, a lack of content on the site. The other thing it could be due to is the fact that the crawling doesn't store the information that is relevant to pull from that page. So with crawling, you can specify what parts of the page you want to store and what parts of the page you don't want search engines to index. You probably don't want the navigation of each page pulling in results for that relevant word. And so that's another factor that you might want to consider if you're running into these ineffective searches. Now, search origination pages. Search origination pages tell you whether or not somebody's searching with a clear purpose, which we now know 40% of visitors use that search bar as soon as they get to the home page. But what about the other users? And I want to tell a story about a personal experience that I had with search as an end user. And I am from Minneapolis, and Minnesota is actually one of the states that has to get a new license because our license has not been government approved. Now everyone's scrambling to find a government approved license so that we can go through the airport so that we can use this as that formal mode of identification. Now, what they don't tell you about this process is that it is literally impossible to find the documentation that's needed to prove your residence. And so what happened here is I went to the Minnesota DMV website and I searched website or new license, and I got to a page. And to be honest here, the results aren't great. New driver's license and ID card designs, Minnesota Department of Public Safety and Minnesota Motor Vehicle Dealer change type of license and change name, do business as form, a PDF. Okay, so what this prompted me to do is go to this page, search and search and search again. And a few hours later, 4 trips to the DMV, and 4 months, I finally got my new license in the mail. All because I had to go back to the DMV to prove my identification or bring multiple modes of identification, which could have been solved if I could have just seen a better or a condensed web page of what to do. And it wasn't so hidden in the content of that page. So if you are working with a government website or agency, please take a look at your searches. Government websites are probably the largest websites because they have to store all of this information, but it's useless if we can't find the information that matters to us. Now, we also have trending search terms, and this is more of a marketing thing, but do what you will with this. Similar to trending hashtags on Twitter, people want to stay relevant. We want to know what's going on, and we want to be the first ones there when it happens. And so In order to stay relevant with your site search, you want to make sure that you're consistently providing that information, whether it's through design, UX, and bringing pages closer to the front of that website if you know it's trending, or if it means being ahead of the curve. One example here is if you are a bank, you probably want to make sure that people can get to your routing number very easy. And I bet they're not going to skim the homepage looking for it. They're going to go straight to that search box. If you are from the Midwest, similar to or anywhere near Minnesota, we encounter multiple school closings due to snow and blizzards. Parents want to know when school is closed. They want to know what's going on with their kid and getting on the bus, and they want to know quickly. They don't have time to search through the website for that. And you want to stay relevant if you're a part of e-commerce. So you never can predict trends in e-commerce. We can try our best, but who would have thought like fidget spinners would have rapidly became popular overnight, right? But if you can start seeing that this is what my end users want, it's drastically changed from what the normal is on our website. You can then start churning out content to be able to pull through that search. Now, I could talk about these analytics and site search all day, but I understand that we are a room of developers and agencies. And so the next thing that you might be thinking is, okay, great, but it's too hard to implement, or what about implementation, or it's time consuming, or is it really that hard to build a site search and maintain a site search or find a quality site search? And I'm not going to tell you the why anymore as far as why site search matters, but if you do want to chat further with us, we'll be here all afternoon as well as tomorrow. But what I do want to touch on now is what to actually look for when looking for a quality site search. And as a room of developers and agencies, you will want billable hours, but it shouldn't cost you as long to build a site search as it does to build a website, right? And so when looking at a search tool, the biggest question you will ask yourself when starting this process is, do we build it ourselves or do we buy it? On average, it costs $60,000 US to develop a website search system. On top of that, it costs $15,000 to maintain it moving forward. These numbers don't include expensive costs associated with having a team of data scientists then understand the relevancy and the algorithm and update that. So you're looking at an average salary for a data scientist of $115,000. And typically to do an advanced search algorithm, you're gonna need a team of data scientists, right? And so depending on what that cost analysis looks like, sure, it might make sense for you to build your own, but if it doesn't, you're going to have to outsource it and look for a tool that can provide these things. Now, it's also important to kind of take a look at the indexing. So I talked about indexing and why it's important. It's essentially our first place to find whether or not pages can be included in that overall search engine. Now, what's important here is how much control do you have with that indexing? If you are adding pages on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, or on a monthly basis, how often do you know that that index or that crawler content is being indexed? For example, with Google Custom Search, which is one of our another search platform on the market here, you have no control of when Google comes by your website and indexes the page. So if you decide that you look at the analytics here and you say, okay, we're gonna actually update our whole careers section of the website and just rebrand it as our job board, you've gotta wait for Google to update all of that content so that it reflects that terminology and hope that you don't lose any visitors in the meantime, right? So understanding how often your website needs to be indexed. If it's on a monthly basis, you only need it on a monthly basis. If you are in e-commerce, you do not want out of stock products to be showing in your site search. So you might need to have that updated every hour, right? The other piece of this is controlling the fields and the content that's crawled within your site search or your SERP. So what I mean by that is what you don't want to run into is really nasty titles. And I've learned that CMS is can be configured in multiple ways, and that title of the page might be using the title tag. A more relevant title might be using the Open Graph tag. Maybe your CMS is set to use the H1. Can you tell your search crawler what to pull for the title of your pages in search? For your images, do you have to hope that they pull the right image on the page and maybe it's the logo on every single image of those search results? Or can you define what shows up in that search results page and what doesn't, right? Now, the next thing that you'll want to, of course, learn, and this is that crawler piece of Cluedo, making it very easy for you to configure all of the different fields that you want to index, as well as the pages that you don't want to index. The other piece is the efficiency piece and the effectiveness of your search. People want results, and they want them now. So for speed or response time here, Google has set that standard, or the acceptable rate as 100 milliseconds, the instant rate as 100 milliseconds, and the acceptable rate as 200 milliseconds. That's how quickly we want to be able to get content. During 2018, Cluedo averaged 61 milliseconds response time across our whole customer base. And in 2018, the 95th percentile of response time for Cluedo site search was 190 milliseconds, meaning that 95% of our searches have been under 190 milliseconds. Relevancy. So relevancy is just another standard price of entry if you want to play in the site search space, right? In fact, 88.5% of end users engage with the content on the first page of results, and 81.9% of end users engage with the first 3 results returned on the page. So this just confirms that relevancy is highly important, and that end users tend to select results on the first page, and they will likely be turned off if they have to go any further than that. Now, relevancy can be determined by the mean reciprocal rank, or the MRR. And really what that does is it takes all of the searches and the queries, and it calculates how far the actual clicks are for each ranking. And so the perfect score is 1. That means that for every single search, that user clicks the first result. Our standard is average is 0.7 MRR. The standard for site search is 0.6. Cool. Now, including in your search with the relevancy, it should be good out of the box. It should be able to have bigram matching capabilities where we can actually break up words based on the hyphenation, the spacing. It's where multiple word queries can pull up and similar words can be found through that algorithm. We're also looking for language analyzers. So many sites have multiple languages now, and we need to make sure that we understand how to split up sentences. I don't know about you, but my parents are, I'm a first generation student or college grad, and I've done really well for my parents. My parents have English as their second language. And when they use Google, it looks a lot different from when I use Google. They don't use filler words. When my dad wants directions, he just searches Chili's address now, right? Or Amazon car parts, right? They don't take these full sentences and type it out and spell it correctly. So you want to make sure that your search can analyze it despite the misspellings, despite the stemming of it, so the form or the root form of that word, and removing any stop words from that search. Now, these are all things that are standard to a search engine. The relevancy out of the box should be good. But is that good enough? And so control really matters when it comes to search. You don't want to get stuck with the inability to actually fix or update your search engine and rankings, especially when it comes to relevancy. And what you do is you use these site search analytics, the search words without results, the ineffective searches, the trending words, the click-through rate, the MRR, to understand where you need to make changes across your website. And if you can't control that algorithm, you don't have the ability to change that experience. And if you don't know what's going on with that experience, you don't know what's working or what's not working with that site search. Your search algorithm shouldn't be a black box. You shouldn't just turn it on and pray that it works and set it and forget it, as they say. Especially if this is a tool that some of your most engaged visitors are going to be using. So from a control standpoint, you should be able to look at the capabilities to create misspellings. Now, out of the box, your search engine and your algorithm should be able to auto-correct misspellings for the most part, but there are going to be instances where someone just really butchers it. Someone's cat sits on the keyboard while they're typing, right? You also want to make sure that you can connect your visitors' grammar and their copy and their context of something to what you actually say on your website. That language should be able to be morphed. So things like people searching for IT, when your website, by marketing standards and branding, spells everything out as information technology. And now it looks like you're searching for a filler word, right? You should be able to boost specific content. You don't want search results from 2009 appearing if something from 2019 is more relevant. You should be able to control and kind of tweak the algorithm to even support your business needs or your clients' needs. And then, knowing that your site search is where the most engaged visitors go when they come to your website, you should be able to take advantage of that. And what I mean by that is you should be able to include content that's important to your business needs while still having the search results show up. Think of it as like an ad, but for your business and a little less cheesy or salesy, right? Now, all of this control allows you to actually use the analytics I mentioned earlier to actually fix the issues that you see wrong with the website. The next thing that you'll want to look for is, there's the analytics dashboard with the tools that drive those decisions, making it quick and easy for you to make changes to that algorithm. The next thing here is machine learning. Now, machine learning and AI have become a buzzword, right? Machine learning, I actually sent a Slack to our data scientists before this talk, and I said, what do you think of when people think of machine learning? What are your conceptions of that? And he sent me this GIF, or this meme. And he said, people actually don't really understand what machine learning is. And for us, machine learning, we use that for search to take data and automate the analysis of it. So rather than parsing through thousands of different search terms to make search work yourself and having a marketing team of search analysts do that, you should be able to have the machine analyze that content so you can focus more on the action piece. And according to Google's top trends in search, to succeed, brands must deliver experiences that are fast and frictionless. It's time to invest in mobile experiences as well as machine learning and automation strategy. Machine learning can help you understand and predict intent in ways that simply aren't possible manually. It can also help you find missed or unexpected connections between business goals and the habits of your key customer segments. Machine learning, I think everyone can use it no matter what industry you're in, no matter what technology you're working with, again, to work smarter. How does Cluedo do it? Something that I would recommend when evaluating a site search provider is what do they use machine learning for, and do they have machine learning? For us, we have three main tools that we use for machine learning. Intelligent Rankings is our first one. And so what we do with Intelligent Rankings is we aggregate the user habits that are captured and create a vivid picture of that visitor engagement. What we do is we look at delivering rankings and results based on the visitor's past behavior and the success and failure of those results to create engagement. Another quick way to look at this is dynamic rankings. If people are clicking a specific result and it happens to naturally come in the algorithm as a sixth one, we're going to boost it up. We've learned that this is highly relevant for our users. Intelligent autocomplete. So with intelligent autocomplete, this uses end user behavior to make predictions about what the user is actually searching for even before they finish that query. So delivering recommended search suggestions faster and creating a more efficient site search experience. This helps extremely because it provides your website visitors with an easier path to the content that they're searching for. At Cluedo, we go beyond just that simple site search. We enable the distribution of your content. We help people get where what they're looking for quickly. And if that means that we can recommend what that search term is going to be, even before they fully type it out, we can avoid misspellings. We can hope that or increase the likelihood that your visitors will arrive to the content that they were initially seeking out. And the last thing that machine learning, at least for Cluedo, what we really prioritize is that we understand there's only a few hours in the day, right? Whether you're a developer, whether you're a marketer, whether you're an agency. And data is abundant. And what the hell do we do with all of this data? And how do we make interpretations of what is helpful and what is just noise? Cluedo actually recently launched this machine learning tool called Intents. Intents can be translated into common search objectives within your search engine. So rather than analyzing thousands of search terms to group them, we use machine learning actually to group them into overall themes. And this gives you a much faster overview of what your visitors are actually looking for so that you can focus more on what's not working and updating and addressing those content issues. So you can kind of see in this screenshot, it shows the common intents or reasons why people visit that site search, as well as all of the various ways people search to get to that type of content. So why does search matter? As well as some additional last minute things. When you guys are looking or evaluating site search, of course, there's going to be 1,000 different things that people are going to sell you and different features, right, that people want you to use. Whether you're working with clients or you're that developer itself, what you want to focus on is bridging this gap between marketing and IT. Because at the end of the day, marketers are responsible for the success of the website. They need to know what's going on. You have the development power to give them that information, but you shouldn't have to be bothered every time they want to see something. You care about the quality of your websites, and you want people to find content and find it as quickly as they can. And by taking ownership of the site search one way or another, and using this data to drive decisions around how to update your website, what's working, what's not working, what are people finding, you can continuously evolve your site to fit the needs of your market. Now, if you invest in your site search, you're going to be 90% ahead of the curve on what everyone else is doing, on what everyone else is analyzing, because you'll have that insight to kind of close the loop on that marketing funnel. Now, if you want to learn more about Cluedo or just talk more site search, my name is Jennifer. As I mentioned, I have Ellie, who is our partner account manager, and Zach, who is our solutions engineer. He's actually a developer. I am not. But if you want to talk more or learn more about Cluedo or site search, please connect with us. We have some free goodies in the back. And thank you again for your time. I'll open it up to questions if you have any, but thanks again. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah.
Do you have a specific integration with Sitefinity?
We actually became partners with Sitefinity in January, and we are working on a connector to integrate our search with their CMS platform.
I guess the use case would be when a customer has multiple CMSs on one
Yeah, so Cluedo is an agnostic platform that works with any CMS. Yep, because it's a crawler. So really with us, all you need to tell us is what to crawl, where to find it, and using our API or a global template or our JavaScript, we can essentially inject our results into any platform.
What was the technology behind? Is it Elasticsearch? Is it, what's this Java-based?
Solar?
Solar.
Yeah. Did you have a question?
It's predicated on Azure Lucene.
Lucene, okay.
Yep.
So what standard technology?
Yes.
What about then configuration of the, for example, the relevance of the search results? Do you have tools in Pluto to be able to kind of tweak those?
Yes, absolutely, and it's something that we recommend all of our customers do. So when you look at the, foundation of search, it's built off of Lucene. Then we have the ability to create boostings off of that engine where depending on a URL match, a meta field, XPath, whatever it might be, if there's a specific piece of your website or content that you want to boost or down boost, we allow you to set those rules to change the relevancy based on that standard score. From there, on top of that layer is going to be that machine learning piece. So you can have you have our foundational element, right? And then you have the boostings, and then you have machine learning that will also learn as people engage with the search. And then the most granular you can get with the relevancy is simply by saying when somebody searches these words or these terms, this is the ranking that I want it to be, and fixing specific results for specific pages.
And how do you handle Chinese, for example, because then it's separated so different?
Yep, so we actually have a Chinese language analyzer as well. So when we set up the crawler, we actually determine what language that page is and use that language analyzer to accommodate those.
Same thing for Arabic and
Yep.
what about like spelling and misspelling in the other non-English languages?
Yep, that as well.
Just
Are you sure, like, for example, languages such as Finnish?
Yep, I mean, we are
You're really sure?
I'm really sure our platform is actually, we're a Danish company to begin with.
If Danish is an Indo-European language and Finnish is an Indo-European language.
Well, you'll have to, yeah. Well, I know that right now we have multiple websites in multiple different languages, and maybe we'll have you test our Finnish one to make sure it's accurate.
Well, to speak on misspellings, I'm a client, and I'm in healthcare, and so as smart as the system is, you still have to type in manual misspellings because people are very creative with healthcare terms like optometrist. They'll find a way to put
is there an option to plug in ready misspelling dictionaries?
Yeah, so we can actually import misspelling dictionaries as well as synonyms.
And integration is usually like a JavaScript snippet that you
Yep.
drop somewhere.
Yep.
And styling of the search results.
We inherit the page's CSS, but we can also create a custom implementation as well.
And there is JavaScript API or REST API.
Yep.
One question.
With machine learning, is there any training that you have to do for the machine learning, or is it kind of just work?
It just runs, yep. So we have a team of data scientists that on the back end make sure that it's constantly being updated and learning. What's really cool is if you go to our Intents platform, you can see when the last time our data scientists ran through and updated that machine learning piece.
And like it's a SaaS platform.
Yes.
So is it shared the indices across different customers, or everyone has more or less control their indices that are actually?
Yes, so everyone has control of their own search engine and their own relevancy. Is that your question? Does that kind of?
More,
So what data security?
well,
Data security, yeah. Yeah, so we, like I said, are headquartered in Copenhagen, and GDPR is very important to us. So we actually have two different servers to accommodate the data processing across our customers in the EU as well as in the US, and keep both separated.
And what about if site search is used for public sites, the
Mhm.
first story, but if you go and use it for, let's say, internet,
Mhm.
then you need to have some kind of security underneath.
Yes, so we actually require that all of our customers that want to use an intranet search actually set up a proxy server so that we can anonymize the API key when executing a search for intranets or password protected sites.
Also, like, questioning that when you get the search results,
Mhm.
you should see anything that is not allowed.
Correct, yes, yep,
That just works.
yes. Any other questions? Okay. All right, well, thank you again, everyone, for your time. If you have any additional questions, like I said, we will hang out in here for a while. Thanks.